Trouble in Tahiti is proving to be trouble in summarizing for me, because I'm having a hard time describing the drama, which is the characters in this book. There are 3 different women in love with the handsome movie director, and we have the evil producer who's blackmailing everyone. I swear, sometimes it's like this series is 2 steps away from a soap opera. Wait, what's that? They actually did make a spin-off soap opera series? Oh, that explains a lot about the Nancy Drew files.
Argo Funk Book Review, Argo Funk Book Review.
Nancy has come to Tahiti to investigate the death of an actress. She died in a boating accident at 2 in the morning, which is normally not the time people go boating, so it's a suspicious death. Nancy spends the first few chapters looking for the people who worked on the boat. She also dodges death traps, courtesy of the culprit who has vastly overestimated the threat she poses. And for once I'm not being a sarcastic jerk, Nancy really doesn't have much of a chance to solve the mystery, because the death occurred 5 years ago. She's super late to this particular detective party. The good news is that everyone involved with the death is still here in Tahiti, even though in real life they would have gone back to America by now. Thank you, plot convenience. Nancy checks in with the local police, who ignore her because they're too busy dealing with smugglers. Smugglers who stole computers with multi-megabyte memory. Whoa! Better watch out, Nancy. These crooks sound like they mean business. Speaking of crooks, Nancy goes to a shady cafe in search of Pierre the sailor. One guy starts a fight with her, and before you know it, everyone thinks Nancy is part of a police raid. So a huge crowd of people come running out of a hidden casino, screaming their heads off about how they don't want to be arrested, and the entire scene is super hilarious. Nancy uncovers an illegal gambling ring by total accident. I love it! Nancy finds circumstantial evidence against the various suspects, and she meets with Pierre the sailor. Pierre was on the boat the night it crashed. He is still alive because he escaped after seeing danger through a porthole. Later on, Nancy realizes the super obvious problem with Pierre's story. Namely, the ship didn't have any portholes. You can't look through a window that doesn't exist. I'm kind of surprised nobody else noticed this problem before Nancy did. You'd think the boat's owner and the first mate would have figured it out by now. I don't know, maybe they were too involved with their soap opera subplot to pay much attention to Pierre's story. Soap opera stuff continues throughout the entire book, by the way. The characters have multiple big fights, and Nancy eventually uncovers a blackmail plot. Good for her. We have an epic foreshadowing chapter where Nancy and a friend named Bree go scuba diving. Nancy sees a shark, and she notes that it would be really bad if a shark tried to attack her. I guess Nancy forgot what happened the last time she tangled with a shark. Continuity! The culprit shows up on a boat and shoots at them with a spear gun. Our heroes escape by hiding directly underneath his boat where he can't reach them. The culprit growls for a while, then he gives up and goes away. Nancy tracks down the boat that the culprit was using. She sneaks on board, and wouldn't you know it, she finds the computer smugglers inside. This is twice that she's caught criminals by complete accident. The culprits try to kidnap her, but she escapes, and all of their multi-megabyte computers are confiscated by the government. Good. That technology is too powerful to be allowed to exist. In the end, Nancy realizes Pierre is the culprit because he has a bogus cover story. Pierre takes Nancy and Bree as hostages on his boat. About 10 minutes away from shore, he tells them to put on scuba gear and go diving in the ocean. Did he forget what happened in the foreshadowing chapter? Because that's exactly how they escaped last time, Pierre. Nancy doesn't want to go along with Pierre's plan, so she breaks off her air tank hose. This shoots a bunch of compressed air into Pierre's face, stunning him for about 6 seconds. Nancy uses this time to disarm the culprit. No, wait, no she doesn't. Okay. She uses this time to signal for help. No, wait, she doesn't do that either. Okay, well, what does she do? She dives overboard, that's what she does. And that's not so much escaping from the culprit as it is doing exactly what the culprit told her to do. Only now Nancy doesn't have an air tank, so she's probably going to drown before Pierre kills her. Predictably, going along with the culprit's murder plan proves to be a bad idea. Pierre starts a shark feeding frenzy, and now Nancy and Bree need to avoid being eaten by sharks. They can't escape to the surface because Pierre is in the water waiting for them, and... wait, Pierre got into the ocean during a shark attack? Why would you do that, culprit? Wouldn't it make sense to leave the water before starting a shark attack? Whatever. The good news is, there is a sunken submarine here. We're never told why there's a sunken submarine really close to the shore. It's just there, deal with it. Nancy and Bree swim into the submarine and they find an air pocket, which gives them enough time to formulate a plan. The plan revolves around the knife, which is strapped to Bree's leg. Yes, Bree had a hidden knife the entire time she was kidnapped, but neither she nor Nancy thought to use it until just now. Ugh. Here is Nancy's plan, and keep in mind, Nancy does not have an air tank. So with one breath of air, Nancy swims down the hallway. She hides for a minute to avoid being eaten by a great white shark. She swims through the submarine. She goes through the torpedo hole. She finds where Pierre is swimming. She sneaks up behind him and she cuts his air tank with a knife. That's all one breath of air. She takes a second breath of air. Then she fights with Pierre for about a minute. She fights off the aforementioned great white shark and she makes it all the way to the surface for breath of air number 2. Yeah. The point I'm trying to drive home here is that the ending part with the culprit is very stupid and unrealistic, which is why I just spent over a third of my review complaining about this one scene. The end. Post-book follow-up. Trouble in Tahiti reminds me a lot of Sinister Paradise, because Nancy's in a tropical area, everyone is a huge jerk, and the best part of the book is when Nancy is fighting unrelated criminals. Having her stop gamblers and smugglers by accident was both exciting and amusing. I glossed over the soap opera subplot in my recap, but that was also well done. It had drama, some plot twists, and the producer made for a good fake-out culprit. If the book was just that, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10, praising it for being much better than the original. But we also have the 18-page culprit confrontation scene, which was really stupid. All the characters made multiple dumb decisions to lead to the big scene where Nancy swims and fights for 10 minutes without any air. She should have died at least 3 times. Good book, ruined by a horrible ending. I give Nancy Drew Files number 31, Trouble in Tahiti, a 4 out of 10.